Hello and welcome to the November 30th, 2025 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, we're putting money into this project of ours. We're live every Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube page. This is a program dedicated to bring good news to counter all the bad news that we're bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like goodnewsnetwork.org and goodgoodgood.co, but we appreciate everything sent in by you, the Nick's Newsies. Hello, everyone. Names are going to be all screwed up again because of YouTube's new policy where, now mind you, it is to cut down on the number of spam accounts and especially to deter pirating accounts or stealing accounts. So I understand where they're going with it, but it sucks because now I can't really make out who's who anymore. I can see them by some of the ats, like I know Julie's at, I know Charlie's at, I know Nico's, but it really is a mixed bag. Impersonation accounts from producer Donna. Yes, of course I know which one is producer Donna. So it's just a mess, you know? It's an absolute mess, but we will work through it as best we can, and I thank you all so much for being with us. So, news, brew. Sanguine is Christian. Yes, so we got Christian in the chat. All right. If you check out our Instagram, then you caught sight of this monstrosity on Thursday, and what a doozy this is going to be. I absolutely love this beer. So, for every valley, there is a mountain. Last week was a valley. We were down at 5% ABV. It's time to climb the mountain. Some say it could be a come to Jesus moment, but instead I say, Kamigoye! Come to God! I love this bottle. So this is a bottle of Kamigoye, Come to God, from 2024. It's made by Transient Artisan Ales in partnership with Magnanimous Brewing. And they have made an absolutely delicious 13% ABV, high octane, Blanton's and Blis Maple Bourbon Barrel Imperial Stout, brewed with vanilla beans. Kamigoye! I am going to be hollering when I'm done with the bottle, says Charlie. Yes. Now it is a bottle, so we need the Balisong bottle opener. And also for our glass, because it is an amazing Imperial Stout, we will have it in our amazing harpoon snifter. Yeah, I'm already shouting. Ooh, it's been a little while since I had to do that. And I haven't gotten the hang of it in a little while. There we go. Oh, my gosh, the nose on this. Oh, it smells like chocolate and vanilla. It smells like chocolate milk with vanilla. And a little bit of that maple. This is going to be thick. This is going to be super thick. Charlie hears the Halo intro playing. Oh, that's all I'll do with that before Microsoft strikes me down. Oh, oh, it's so dark. We're going to have to refill the glass. Oh my. Kamigoye. That is something. Oh, that tastes so good. I wish that I could transmit the taste for those who want to taste that beer. Julie says, enter the void. Shoutouts. Oh boy, it's gotten chilly out there. And we've even had some of that white fluffy stuff making everything very pretty. If you live in West Michigan or Chicago or pretty much anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere, you maybe got dunked on. We actually got quite a bit of snow in my hometown. And I love winter. I love the snow. So this is absolutely perfect for bringing in December tomorrow. It's wonderful out there. But it's a terrific time also to head out to Fox Hen Winery for a winter wonderland and an adventure with a fine glass of wine or cider. Plan a trip to visit Fridays and Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. and just know that the close of the season is coming up on December 6th. I will be there Friday and Saturday, so if you want to swing by for a delicious glass of fine wine or cider with me, come on by Fox and Hen on Friday the 5th and Saturday the 6th. I'll probably be there from like 5 to 7 both days. So, Fox and Hen is located between downtown Grand Haven and Allendale. To Fox and Hen, coming up on wrapping up their 2025 season. Cheers. Just felt my soul get sent to some sort of stout heaven and then came crashing back into my body. Wow. Took one sip and lived 100 lifetimes. Came to God. We have been telling you about SB Mowing and their incredible support and the incredible support that Spencer and his viewers have been giving Miss Beth and Edgar and Ivy's Cat Sanctuary over this last year. Reactions and donations have been so strongly in support of his efforts that Spencer has announced the creation of a non-profit charitable organization called SB Mow It Forward. According to Spencer, at SB Mow It Forward, our mission is to lend a hand where it's needed most. We help individuals tackle essential tasks they can't manage on their own due to limited resources or physical challenges. At the same time, we're committed to empowering future entrepreneurs in the lawn and landscape industry by offering the tools, guidance, and support they need to launch and grow successful businesses. It's about more than just lawn care. It's about building community, creating opportunity, and inspiring the next generation to serve. We have included links to their socials and donation page in the description below. Like and share so the word can get out. The more people who know about this, the more people can be helped. To Spencer and everybody at SB Mowing creating the SB Mow It Forward nonprofit charitable organization. Cheers. Ben says, the Stout Elysium. Oh my gosh. Buckle up, Newsies, because Norovirus is back with a vengeance. Some of you may know last year I got struck down hard by Norovirus. It was a horrible time. Absolutely the worst. I do not recommend it. The best way to survive hell flu, as I think I called it at that time, is not to get hell flu. It is a foodborne virus. You wash your fruits and vegetables, cook shellfish thoroughly, wash your utensils and your cutting boards, clean countertops, and of course, above all else, wash your hands. Hand sanitizer is sometimes not enough to stop norovirus. Even regular cold and flu season is unpleasant. Now is a good time to stock up on sickness survival supplies. Chicken soup is full of healthy enzymes. Make up a big batch and freeze it in individual containers for quick and easy meals. Make sure you have something with electrolytes to help with hydration during fever and potential vomiting. Pedialyte's great. Gatorade's good. There's options out there that aren't like super energy drinks that can help you keep your electrolyte balance going if you're going through a lot of water. Applesauce is generally gentle on a queasy stomach, and those really boring crackers that nobody likes and everybody makes fun of are actually good to have on hand. Check your supply of cold and flu needs before you need them, and check the expiration dates. I just went through my entire cabinet, tossed out a few things because I don't usually have to take medicine for a lot. I don't get sick. I'm going to knock on my desk saying that one. But actually, I have an actual piece of wood as a coaster. I'm going to knock on that. So now is a great time to go through your medicine cabinet and knock out what's expired and replace what you'll need. Get loaded up now and beat the season. Good luck to everyone, and here's to good health. Cheers. My gosh, this beer. Oh, ho, ho, ho. I tend to do a lot of my beer super cold, like right out of my mini fridge, except for stouts. Let them warm up just a little bit. They start to open up. There's all sorts of different flavor and smells that kind of get buried down when they're cold, and when they warm up a little bit, magic happens. There's a lot of magic coming out of this glass. News quote: kindness can become its own motive. We are made kind by being kind. That comes from Eric Hoffer, who lived from 1902 to 1983, and he was an American philosopher and a social critic. Actually, I don't think I have that right. I think I wrote in 1983 because that's when he got the medal, the Presidential Medal of Honor. I think it was actually, I'm going to have to go back and change that, because I think he lived... Nope, he did die in 1983. I do have it right. Huh. Alright, never mind. I really like that quote. Yeah, he was an American philosopher and social critic, but I really like that quote because I hear from a lot of my friends that it's not a good time, you know? There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. It's pretty crazy right now, and that's why we have stuff like this Hope Core channel to tune into or to check out videos and just learn about some good stuff going on behind the scenes, because a lot of the bad stuff is piling on. And so a lot of folks, when things do get piled on, it's very difficult to find the time to be kind to yourselves. Because we need to not only be kind to one another, but we also need to be kind to ourselves, because we put a lot on our shoulders. It doesn't matter who you are. It's just human nature. And some folks do it worse than others. Some folks have a lot more going on, and they feel that they need to shoulder a lot of that. And that can really wear you down. And everyone just needs to remember at times like this that you do deserve kindness. You do deserve moments to take a breath. And they can be short moments or they could be long moments, but we all need them, and you do deserve them. You deserve kindness, not just from the people around you, but from yourself. So kindness can become its own motive. We are made kind by being kind. From Eric Hoffer. Cheers. Bug update. Quiet week in the bug room. Good week in my book. Not a whole lot has really gone down. Ripley is very happy and tends to check in on her little herd of dairy isopods. I gave them a slice of cucumber and they went absolutely crazy for it. The cuddle bugs are great. They've been singing along to one another. They do little squeaks and hisses. They're little Madagascar hissing roaches, and they make a ton of different noises. It's really fascinating to watch them kind of moving about as a group. Sue has gotten more bold with Elmira's hibernation, and I've seen him venturing out at from his hide late at night. Like, the last couple of days I've stayed up late, and I've caught him coming out and walking around, and I wasn't able to get any good pictures because he's really quick, but he is coming out, so hopefully he'll grace us with his presence like he used to. Just keep an eye on that tank back there. If you start to see a very large black scorpion walking around, either put scorpion emojis in the chat or shout the word Sue. All is well with the bugs. Judging by the fact that chat looks like it just died, I think you all took that kindness line the way it was intended. Be kind to yourselves. All of you. Let's get into our broadcast. Our good news broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice touchy-feely articles we like to end on. So we're going to start off in category 1, science and technology, and we call this first one, Taking One from the Plant Playbook. I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check it out. And remember, there are links to all of our articles in the description of this video, if you want to check them out at your leisure at any other time. Come on. Copy. Pasta. There we go. Chinese space station achieves first ever oxygen and rocket fuel production using artificial photosynthesis. This was published to ZME Science on November 26, 2025 by Tibi Puyu. It could be Tibi Puyu. If I'm getting your name wrong, I apologize. When humans dream of venturing farther into the cosmos, one massive logistical question looms. How do we keep everyone breathing and moving without constant supply runs from Earth? Aboard China's Tiangong space station, the name translates into Heavenly Palace, scientists just offered a glimpse of the answer. In a recent demonstration, Chinese astronauts successfully operated a system that produces oxygen and rocket fuel in orbit, mimicking the natural process of photosynthesis. The Shenzhou 19 crew ran the experiments using artificial photosynthesis, technology that engineers the way plants convert carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and glucose. It's a remarkably robust technology. Astronauts used a specialized drawer-shaped device equipped with a semiconductor catalyst. Inside the compact lab, they converted carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and ethylene. That second byproduct is the big deal. Ethylene can be processed into rocket propellant. While Chinese researchers began exploring extraterrestrial artificial photosynthesis back in 2015, seeing it work in orbit is a major milestone. This system operated under room temperature and normal atmospheric pressure. This is a crucial improvement because it slashes the massive energy demands usually associated with high temperature or high pressure chemical synthesis. According to the China Manned Space Program, the process also demonstrated precise control over gas and liquid flows in microgravity, a notoriously difficult feat required for future space-based manufacturing. Because liquids and gases do not like to operate in 0G the same way they do here in 1G, on Earth. So getting that just right, kind of special. This technology mimics the natural photosynthesis process of green plants through engineered physical and chemical methods, utilizing carbon dioxide resources in confined spaces or extraterrestrial atmospheres to produce oxygen and carbon-based fuels, explained a report from Chinese state broadcaster CCTV. By tweaking the catalyst, researchers can produce other valuable compounds, such as methane or formic acid, which could serve as precursors for fuels or even sugars. This capability aligns with China's broader strategy for orbital longevity. In January of 2025, the launch of the... Really? NVIDIA? You want to make noise during my episode? No. This capability aligns with China's broader strategy for orbital longevity. In January of 2025, the launch of the Shijian 25 satellite tested new technologies for in-orbit refueling, creating a potential future ecosystem where Tiangong produces the fuel that satellites like Shijian 25 distribute. That's really cool. Space agencies worldwide have long sought ways to sustain astronauts on deep space missions. Currently, the International Space Station, or the ISS, relies on electrolysis, which uses electricity from solar panels to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. While effective, the method consumes significant amounts of energy. The ISS uses a third of its energy reserved for environmental control and life support systems just to generate oxygen. By comparison, the artificial photosynthesis system tested on Tiangong requires far less energy, making it better suited for long-haul missions. This aligns with the global shift toward in situ manufacturing. We are moving away from the era where we have to launch every single spare part and breath of air from Earth. For instance, the European Space Agency successfully 3D printed metal parts on the ISS for the first time earlier this year. China is integrating this philosophy into a broader strategy for orbital longevity. In January 2025, the Shijian 25 satellite tested technologies for orbit refueling, and when you combine that with Tiangong's new ability to produce fuel components, you start to see a future ecosystem where the space station acts as a gas station for satellites. With a crewed moon landing planned before 2030, China is staking its claim as a leader in sustainable space technologies. By addressing the two biggest challenges of space travel, breathable air and propulsion, the stars are suddenly a little bit closer. And it's all thanks to a humble device aboard a space station orbiting Earth. That's really cool. To everybody involved on Tiangong, the Chinese space station, and in the technology sector of producing oxygen and fuel, rocket fuel, effectively, in space. Cheers. Beer's so good. All right, next article we have in Science and Technology we called "The Company Name Sells Itself." You'll catch it when we get to it. I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Or check it out at your leisure. The city that turns human waste into clean fuel. This was published to Reasons to Be Cheerful on November 27th of 2025 by Michaela Haas. Every time he snaps with engineering, I drink. It's keeping me hydrated, says Charlie. Every time somebody flushes a toilet in Mannheim, they contribute to ecological shipping. Since March of 2025, the German city's wastewater treatment plant has been feeding an experiment of global relevance, transforming sewage gases into green methanol, a cleaner, nearly carbon-neutral alternative to heavy fuel oil. The pilot, known as Mannheim 001, is the first full case study of how human waste can be captured, processed, and converted into fuel powerful enough to propel cargo ships across oceans. It's the first time the entire value chain from sewage to finished methanol has been demonstrated, says David Strittmatter, co-founder of Ekodos, the startup behind the project. And no, that's not the company we're talking about. We'll get to them. At first glance, the pathway from toilet to tanker might seem implausible, but the chemistry is pretty straightforward. Wastewater plants produce sludge, the thickened residue left after sewage is treated and cleaned. Mannheim's plant ferments this sludge in oxygen-free tanks, yielding biogas rich in methane and carbon dioxide, which is usually burned for heat or flared off. Ikodos' innovation is to clean that and upgrade that gas. The sewage gas is dried, desulfurized, and then the carbon dioxide is separated from the rest, Strittmatter explains. Using renewable electricity, the captured carbon dioxide is then combined with hydrogen through a catalytic process to form methanol, a liquid fuel that can run ship engines with only minor modifications. Wastewater exists everywhere, says Strittmatter, gesturing to a model plant pinned on his office wall. The sludge contains up to 3 times more energy than the treatment process needs. We just usually waste it. Why not use it as fuel? International shipping, which carries about 90% of world trade, is responsible for approximately 3% of global greenhouse gas emissions, more than the entire country of Germany. Cargo ships also spew sulfur oxides and particulates, contributing to air pollution along coastlines and in port cities. For decades, the sector has resisted cleaner alternatives, arguing that no scalable, affordable fuels existed. But that defense is crumbling. Regulators, customers, and climate urgency are pushing the industry to look for replacements. Methanol is emerging as one of the most promising. It is energy dense, can be stored and transported in liquid form, and crucially, many ship engines can be converted to run on it. Global giants like Maersk and CGM are already operating methanol-powered container vessels. The International Maritime Organization has set a target to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions from global shipping by 2050, making green fuels essential. Shipping companies have very strong ambitions to reduce their footprint, says Strip Matter. IKEA, Amazon, and other big retailers increasingly want green supply chains. If the transport is dirty, the whole brand suffers. Built at a cost of nearly 4 million euros or $4.6 million, with funding from the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, the European Commission, and Mannheim's own climate fund, Mannheim 001 currently produces about 15,000 liters of methanol per year. Enough to fuel smaller workboats or local needs, but nowhere near enough for a large container ship, which consumes tens of millions of liters annually. A ship needs about as much fuel as 100,000 cars, says Strip Matter, who has already secured an industrial area near Paris in France for the next upscaled plant, partly funded with a grant from the European Union. The vision extends beyond shipping. Methanol is also a feedstock for plastics, solvents, and other chemicals. A wastewater to methanol system could, in theory, help decarbonize multiple industries. But shipping is the most urgent target. It's literally waste that's flushed away every day, says Strip Matter. We're turning a liability into a resource. What's the name of that company that I saw? It should be coming up here. This is a pretty long article. Wastewater is a massive underused resource. Each day, humanity produces about 900 million kilograms of feces and nearly 10 billion liters of urine. Harnessing even a fraction could help decarbonize industries, fertilize fields, and power communities. Globally, less than 20% of sewage is treated before release, according to the UN. Even in highly regulated countries like Germany, where treatment rates exceed 96%, sewage plants consume enormous amounts of energy. Some municipalities spend up to 60% of their annual budgets running them, according to the German magazine Brand 1. What if instead of burning energy to destroy sludge, we flipped the equation and mined it for hidden power? Sewage is rich in carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus, the building blocks of fuel, fertilizer, and food. A new wave of innovators is showing how to turn waste into wealth. One of the most striking efforts comes from another German startup. Shit to power. There it is, folks. Shit to power. The company has designed modular shipping container-sized units that sit directly beside wastewater plants. Inside, a thermochemical gasification process transforms sewage sludge into green hydrogen. Shit to power works locally and is particularly useful for small municipalities. A small town of 30,000 residents could cover up to a third of its own electricity needs, explains co-founder and CEO Nina Hein. For many municipalities, that would amount to a small-scale energy transition right on their doorstep, and a relief for their waste balance sheets. This year, the Berlin startup plans to build its first facility. So far, the technology has only been tested in the lab. The potential of our technology is nothing less than redefining the entire sewage sludge treatment system, says Hein. We're turning an expensive waste product into a resource that simultaneously generates energy and keeps essential nutrients in circulation. And what applies to sewage sludge can also be extended to other types of biomass. Governments have taken notice. In 2023, Germany's Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs awarded Shit to Power the German Founders Prize. The European Union and regional utilities are also backing pilots, including those led by Shit to Power. For rural communities, the technology could be a lifeline, cutting waste disposal costs while generating homegrown renewable power. What a large-scale investment looks like can be seen in southern Denmark. Publicly inaugurated in May of 2025, the Casso e-methanol facility is the world's first commercial-scale plant of its kind, producing 53 million liters annually with biogenic carbon dioxide from a local biogas plant. The interest is huge, says Icodos' Strip Matter. With methanol, you avoid sulfur emissions and dramatically cut particulates. The climate and air quality benefits are real. Yet the future of poop power isn't without obstacles. Regulations are a major hurdle. Wastewater laws are written to protect waterways, not to harvest energy and nutrients. Many treatment plants lack legal frameworks for selling byproducts as fuel or fertilizer. Once you think of wastewater not as a liability but as an asset, the possibilities multiply, says Strip Matter. You can make fuel, fertilizer, clean water, even building materials. Oh boy. Indeed, innovators are experimenting with sewage-derived bricks, plastics, and biochemicals. The combined potential is staggering. According to Icodos, scaling sewage to methanol worldwide could cover the entire fuel demand of the global shipping sector. Shit to Power estimates its modular units cut energy costs for thousands of small municipalities. In a warming world, pragmatism may matter more than aesthetics. Progress doesn't have to be pretty, Strip Matter says. It just has to work. To companies like Icodos, Mannheim 001, David Strip Matter, and Shit to Power, transforming sewer sludge into fuels and products. Cheers. And as Tim put it in the chat, I have the poo power! That was a good one, Tim. Charlie says, brings a whole new term to powering up your shit box. All right, that's going to get us out of science and technology. We're going to move on to category 2, health and medicine. We've got 2 articles in here, and we called this first one, Crazy Medical Words That Leave Nick Out of Breath. As I was going through this article, I took one look at it, and I'm like, Donna, you're intentionally trying to asphyxiate me with text. She didn't deny the allegation. I'll post this in the chat if y'all want to check it out. Severe asthma can be controlled by a monthly injection. Trial finds. This was published to The Guardian on a Thursday, November 27th, by Anna Bawden. Hey, Becky. A monthly injection could allow people with severe asthma to stop taking daily steroid tablets, a clinical trial has found. More than 260 million people are thought to have asthma worldwide. While most can control their asthma with inhalers to treat immediate symptoms and preventative ones to reduce inflammation, those with the most severe asthma are often forced to take daily doses of a corticosteroid as well. But long-term use is associated with serious health conditions, including osteoporosis, diabetes, and increased vulnerability to infections. Now, an international clinical trial has found that participants who received injections of tezepelumab, say that one 5 times fast, I'm not going to, tezepelumab, every 4 weeks, were able to reduce or even stop taking their steroids entirely with no ill effects. Tezepelumab, also known as Tezspire, and made by AstraZeneca, binds and blocks a protein associated with airway inflammation. The National Institute for Health and Care Excellence approved the drug in 2023 as an additional maintenance treatment for patients over 12 whose usual medication does not control their asthma well. The Wayfinder trial, which was led by King's College London, involved just under 300 adults with severe uncontrolled asthma who were taking 5 mg to 40 mg of steroid tablets daily. The patients from 11 countries, including the UK, the US, France, Germany, Mexico, and Spain, were given tezepelumab every month. After 1 year of treatment, more than half the participants had stopped taking their steroid medication altogether without their asthma flaring up, while nearly 90% had reduced their steroid use to a low dose. A third had stopped taking steroids after just 6 months. Symptoms of asthma include coughing, wheezing, breathlessness, and chest tightness. Up to 10% of asthmatics have severe disease, and, in the most extreme cases, it can be fatal. The trial findings, which were published in the Lancet Respiratory Medicine and presented at the British Thoracic Society Winter Meeting, also showed that tezepelumab significantly improved asthma symptoms, lung function, and overall quality of life. During the study, 2/3 of patients did not have any asthma attacks at all. The lead author of the study, Professor David Jackson, who is a respiratory medicine expert at King's College London, and an asthma services clinical lead at Guy's and Royal Brompton Hospitals, said, as tezepelumab also suppresses allergy-related symptoms and improves chronic rhinosinusitis, chronic rhinosinusitis as well, the results are particularly exciting for patients with severe asthma who suffer with both upper and lower airway symptoms. Responding to the findings, Dr. Samantha Walker, the Director of Research and Innovation at Asthma Plus Lung UK, said, "This is an incredibly encouraging development for the future of asthma care that could transform the lives of people with severe asthma." It's vital that research into new types of treatment continues, but we know current funding for lung health research is on life support, despite lung conditions remaining the third biggest cause of death in the UK. Studies like this show the positive impact that research can make on providing potentially life-changing treatment for people with asthma and other lung conditions, Dr. Samantha Walker added. Professor Camilla Hawthorne, the chair of the Royal College of GPs, said, "Any new interventions that may help patients manage their symptoms more easily and in a safe and effective way would be welcome. The prospect of a monthly injection, rather than daily tablets, may also be a more manageable treatment option for some patients. As with any emerging research, it's important the findings are carefully assessed and considered as clinical guidelines, which GPs use in their daily practice, are developed and updated based on the latest evidence to ensure safety and benefits for patients." To everybody at the, what's the full term for it again? Trying to find it. King's College London for running the study, and for AstraZeneca for producing tezepelumab for this test and its potential once-a-month injection that can help with alleviating the worst of asthma. Cheers! Oh my gosh, the beer. It warms my everything. All right, we called this next one, Fine, We'll Do It Ourselves. For those of you that are enjoy the show Parks and Rec, I wanted to call it Doing It the Ron Swanson Way. I'll copy and paste this into the chat if you all want to read along. Hey, Becky. Today's news brew is Kamigoye! It's wonderful. People are painting crosswalks across LA to protect pedestrians. This was published to Reasons to be Cheerful on November 28th of 2025 by Malin 2. This article was originally published by Next City, a nonprofit newsroom reporting on solutions for equitable and just cities. Get Next, if you want Next City's stories in your inbox, there's a link in the article. Painting a crosswalk is cheap and easy. A group of neighbors can paint an entire intersection in one morning for $100 or less. Getting the city of Los Angeles to paint a crosswalk, on the other hand, might take 14 years and the death of a 9-year-old boy. Across LA, neighbors are banding together to paint crosswalks to protest the city's failure to protect people outside of cars. Jonathan Hale, a UCLA law student who goes by Johnny, spent 4 Saturday mornings painting crosswalks with neighbors at Stoner Park this summer, covering each corner of the park. After the city removed them, he went to the press and vowed to repaint them. I was like, next Saturday, we'll be out there, and you'll have to deal with it. It'll be a spectacle, and like, everybody kind of hates you right now. The city painted official crosswalks a week later. Now, Hale is leading a new group called People's Vision Zero to continue to paint crosswalks across the city to protest for safer streets. Painting guerrilla crosswalks in LA is not new. The anonymous group Crosswalks Collective LA has been doing it since 2022. What is new, Hale is putting his name and his face on the movement, challenging the city to take a public stance on vigilante crosswalks. I was in hot water with the city attorney's office, he says. They don't like me. People on Reddit were threatening to go to the bar. It was scary. Painting unofficial crosswalks is not without its legal and financial hazards. During one operation, an employee at the city's transportation department called the police. Crosswalk Collective members were each fined $250 with the threat of $1,000 tickets if they reoffended. Still, Hale's approach seems to be working so far. Charlie says, I can't help but giggle every time he has a drink that's high octane because I spent so much time working in automotive. I just picture a happy little buzzed Nick running around making car noises. Vroom vroom. Now you don't have to imagine it. While the Crosswalks Collective sometimes paints new crosswalks in secret, Hale says he is alerting the mayor's office every time he takes paint to pavement. I just want the city to admit that they're wrong and that the system is broken. That's it. If the city does that publicly, I'll give it up, he says. The city is failing to achieve the goal of Vision Zero first set in 2015. From 2017 to 2021, traffic deaths and severe injuries increased by 13%, with an average of 132 pedestrians killed each year. Can Los Angeles afford to squelch grassroots efforts to curtail traffic violence? Painting a crosswalk as a concerned citizen might be a crime, but it doesn't have to be. The city of Atlanta started a tactical urbanism program back in 2020 for temporary, quick-build projects that modify the street to make it safer for walking, biking, and rolling. Under the program, community members can make street improvements in their own neighborhoods. Residents recently built a bike lane for $10,000 on a school route. Temporary might be a misnomer, says Rebecca Cerna, Executive Director of Propel ATL, the street safety nonprofit that, in its previous iteration as the Atlanta Bicycle Coalition, pushed for Atlanta to adopt the program. All but one tactical urbanism project is still in place. The de facto fact of the matter is that they have been somewhat permanent, more permanent than anticipated, Cerna says. The city is trying to improve and streamline the permitting process, according to Cerna, to make it easier for community organizations to implement their own projects. Atlanta's program is not exactly what we would want if we were starting from scratch, she says. There is an insurance requirement that particularly under-resourced communities have found really challenging. Cities are already asking residents to roll up their sleeves, points out Carter Lavin, co-founder of the Trans Bay Coalition and author of If You Want to Win, You've Got to Fight. In Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass is mobilizing Angelenos to spend their Angelinos? I guess it's Angelinos. To spend their Saturdays picking up trash and cleaning city streets. Lavin's organization is working with the city of Richmond, California to make guerrilla bus benches on the sidewalk legal. What I recommend is for the city who's uncomfortable with the crosswalk thing, 1, get comfortable with the crosswalk thing, Lavin says. But if that is just so impossible of a burden for them for whatever reason, okay, legalize benches. Could a street safety champion emerge in LA? Heather Hutt, LA City Council member and chair of the Transportation Committee, is actively working to implement long-awaited improvements at a Koreatown intersection where 9-year-old Nadir Gavarit was hit and killed in July. Crosswalk Collective LA painted crosswalks and a memorial in August, which the city replaced with official crosswalks and a quick-build traffic circle on November 13th. We look forward to working with our community to develop more improvements to reduce injuries along this stretch of Koreatown, and will continue to assess other neighborhoods in Council District 10 for improvements, her office says in a statement. Hold on, you weren't running. Charlie, I have him sounding like Lightning McQueen from Cars. Ka-chow! Kumos. I remember there were some people in Philly spray painting phallic-looking things in order to get the city to fill in potholes. It was rather effective. That's awesome. Nick News! I love the chat. LA probably won't implement a tactical urbanism program, says Michael Schneider, founder of Streets for All, a transportation advocacy organization that passed Healthy Streets LA. The city is incredibly conservative because it gets sued so often, he says. Even if the city council passed a motion to study how to implement a tactical urbanism program, it's unlikely to be implemented, believes Schneider. The city is basically run by the city attorney when it comes to stuff like this. The office of LA City Attorney Heidi Feldstein Soto did not return a request for comment on guerrilla crosswalks in time for publication. If the current crop of council members don't champion tactical urbanism, perhaps future council members will. Already, 2 people running for city council have joined People's Vision Zero to paint crosswalks. John Rawlings, candidate for Council District 3, believes a formalized tactical urbanism program could be a good short-term solution. I'd love to be doing at least one every month, Rawlings says. I'd also want to inspire others in my district and throughout the valley to start this up themselves and do more. However the city chooses to respond, the crosswalk movement is taking on a life of its own. The city would be really wise to formalize, create some kind of an outlet for that energy, so that it can work towards the greater good and not work at cross purposes, Cerna says. After the city repainted crosswalks at Stoner Park, Hale met with the mayor's office to present a set of policy recommendations, including decriminalizing vigilante crosswalks. The city is facing a budget crisis and a backlog of broken sidewalks and missing curb ramps. City staff were appreciative of his advocacy, but also a little condescending, he says. When Hale quotes city staff, his already deep voice drops even lower. It was very much like, oh, thank you for your advocacy, but you know you're young and idealistic, and you need to understand that these rules exist for a reason. No, they're antiquated and dumb. Fix the sidewalks. Fix the crosswalks. One issue. The intersections that People's Vision Zero painted at Stoner Park are not up to current ADA requirements, in part because there are no sidewalks on some sections of the street. According to federal guidelines, every time a city alters the street through repaving or reconstruction, it must add curb ramps. It's unclear if the citizen-painted crosswalk would trigger these requirements. Maybe it should. Bringing an intersection up to current standards can be costly. A single curb ramp costs the city of Los Angeles $50,000 to $100,000. However, to advocates impatient for change, citing accessibility requirements is just one more excuse to delay simple improvements that could prevent people from dying while crossing the street. Following the rules can take millions of dollars and, in the case of safety improvements at the intersection where Nadir Gavaret was hit and killed, over a decade to implement. Take the traffic circle at 4th and New Hampshire, first proposed back in 2011. According to public records obtained by Next City, the project was funded in 2015 but saw no progress for about 5 years. The design phase took roughly 4 years under the Bureau of Engineering and was finished at the beginning of 2025. Construction is slated to begin next year. In a statement to Next City, Mayor Bass's office came out as pro-crosswalk. While the city continues to install crosswalks that comply with federal, state, and local regulations, the mayor's office is working with city departments to explore solutions that are innovative and will expedite crosswalk installations across Los Angeles. It really doesn't sound like it. On November 8th, People Vision Zero painted crosswalks at an intersection in the Palm neighborhood where a driver hit a pedestrian in 2017. About 20 people showed up, the biggest group yet. I first heard about this on a Reddit post, says Luis Fernando Aguiano Quiroz, an urban designer and planning grad student at UCLA. This is my neighborhood, so I wanted to build community and get to know my neighbors. Carl, who has lived on the corner for 30 years and declined to share his last name, was initially skeptical when he saw people painting the street. He was worried the city would simply undo the work, but after talking to Hale, he's on board. The city needs help, and if they're doing a proper job and a city inspector comes out and says it's 98% right, leave it alone. The mood and the weather are bright. People take turns rolling out the paint and pulling up the tape, which is the most satisfying part of the process. Waiting for the paint to dry, they chat and riff about their favorite TV shows. This is the 10th intersection that People's Vision Zero has painted, and it won't be the last. What happened at Stoner Park only made Hale more determined to keep going. It's awesome. It feels so good. I love my neighbors. It was so touching to see the news, and to see my neighbors interviewed on the news, just saying that they appreciate it. I did it for them, Hale says. To everybody involved with guerrilla urbanism, and especially painting crosswalks in LA because the city is absolutely slow as hell to do it. To everybody involved, especially Jonathan Hale, cheers. All right, that's going to get us out of health and medicine. We're going to move on to category 3, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. We got one article in here, and we called it Calling Agent Falcon. Come in, Agent Falcon. I'll copy and paste this into the chat if you want to check it out. Tiny falcons are the new food safety patrol in cherry orchards. This article was published to ZME Science on November 28th of 2025 by Mihai Andre. Cherries are delicious. When they're just ripe, they are sweet, succulent, and almost irresistible. But we aren't the only ones who think so. Birds, like robins, are also drawn to cherry orchards. For farmers, the actual fruit the birds eat is only part of the problem. The more menacing issue comes from the foodborne pathogens carried in bird droppings. This standoff has proven difficult to solve for many fruit growers. To keep their crops safe, many sanitize their fields, often stripping away the very habitats that support biodiversity. But new research published in the Journal of Applied Ecology suggests that the solution to cleaner food isn't removing nature, it's adding more of it, specifically in the form of a pint-sized falcon. The American kestrel is North America's smallest falcon, but don't let its size fool you. It is a precision predator. They're cool to watch in flight, said lead author Olivia Smith. The falcons hover in midair as they scan the ground below for prey, which could be everything from insects to mice, and especially small birds. But Smith wasn't there just to enjoy the show. She wanted to see if they could serve as a natural ally to farmers. Kestrel populations are currently in decline, making them a species of conservation concern. Smith and her colleagues worked with farmers to install nest boxes, giving these raptors a place to raise their young. In exchange, the kestrels turned the orchard into a landscape of fear for smaller fruit-eating birds. That is just such a term. A landscape of fear. Like, the kestrels are up there like, ha 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 ha. It's just pure evil. The results showed that the falcons really do help. In fields where kestrels were raising their families, the abundance of pest birds dropped significantly. The kestrels effectively enforced a no-fly zone. It's hard to keep birds out of crops, said Smith, an assistant professor of horticulture and member of MSU's Ecology, Evolution, and Behavior program. But the falcons did a great job at it. This drop translated directly to the quality of the harvest. In orchards without kestrels, the researchers found bird damage on 2.5% of the cherries. In orchards with kestrels, that number plummeted to just 0.47%. That's a 2% loss averted, which is a massive reduction in wasted fruit. Improvements in pest damage were confirmed by bird poop. The researchers surveyed cherry branches, counting fecal deposits. In the control orchards, 6.88% of branches had bird feces on them. In the kestrel-guarded orchards, that figure dropped to 2.33%. Interestingly, the presence of kestrels did not change the prevalence of diseases among the pest birds. About 10% to 11% of the fecal samples contained Campylobacter DNA, regardless of whether kestrels were present or not. The kestrels kept the robins out of the orchard, but didn't cure them of the pathogens. However, the study also highlighted a crucial nuance in food safety science: the difference between DNA and live bacteria. While the researchers found Campylobacter DNA in nearly 20% of samples taken from birds, finding live culturable bacteria on the crops was much rarer. Viable Campylobacter was found in only roughly 1% of the feces collected from crops. So, this could actually work. If these numbers don't seem like much, you need to consider that farmers operate on very, very thin margins. Bird netting, a common method for excluding pests, is highly effective but also incredibly expensive. A single roll costs $1,700 to install and is very labor intensive. By comparison, the study estimates the cost to purchase and install a nest box is about $114.79, with a mere $22.50 per year for maintenance. Considering that a single box can protect a significant area and the benefits extend for hundreds of meters, the return on investment is very clear. There's another important aspect. Farmers generally like raptors. Previous surveys indicate that growers perceive birds of prey as beneficial and are genuinely interested in adopting nest boxes. This means they're more likely to accept and support schemes that include falcons. It's a rare win-win-win scenario. The kestrels get some needed respite, and the farmers get better margins. The robins might not be thrilled, but in the grand scheme of things, researchers regard this as a victory. There are caveats, of course. The strategy relies on the local presence of kestrels and the timing of their breeding season aligning with the crop harvest. Additionally, farmers must be careful not to install artificial perches over the crops, lest the predators themselves become the source of contamination, though this study found no evidence of kestrels defecating on the fruit. But the finding could apply for more than just cherries. Leafy green growers, for instance, face even higher scrutiny regarding food safety. Because lettuce is often eaten raw and grows close to the ground, the risks are acute. Cultivating an ecosystem that has top predators could be a sustainable and viable strategy. Perhaps we don't need to make our farms more sterile. We need to make them more natural. I really like that. To the program that was installing boxes for North American kestrels, which are awesome little falcons, and the work that the little falcons are doing to help protect cherry orchards. Cheers. All right, that's going to get us out of flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. We are going to move on to category 4, wholesome notes. We've got 3 articles in this section for tonight. They're all pretty quick, but they're all very powerful. So, we're going to start off with our first one, Stitching Together a Sustainable Future. I'll copy and paste this into the chat if you all want to read along at some point. A Markham teen is leading a growing upcycling movement by teaching kids to repair clothes instead of throwing them away. This was published to the Markham Economist and Sun on YorkRegion.com on Thursday, November 27th of 2025 by Scarlett Liu. A Unionville high school student is stitching sustainability into Markham's community, one button and one patch at a time. Michelle Sun, founder of the youth-led initiative Thread Together, has turned her self-taught sewing hobby into a 40-member movement encouraging kids to repair, reuse, and reimagine their clothing. My goal is simple: change the pace of fashion in the world, one stitch at a time, Sun said. At the November 15th workshop held in partnership with Creative Genius Academy and the Sewing Circle Markham, elementary-age kids learned basic stitches useful for fixing loose buttons, patching holes, and repairing stuffed animals. Sun said she hopes the workshops reshape how kids view clothing and consumption. Kids often think they need to buy new clothes, she said, but when you learn to fix or remake what you already have, you save money that can go towards something more important. She also wants to challenge the stereotype that sewing is old-fashioned, or only for grandmas. The recent workshop included several boys, which Sun says show how sewing is increasingly being seen as a practical, creative, and gender-neutral skill. I highly recommend it. I know how to sew. I was taught it by several great friends, and I'm really appreciative for that knowledge and being able to sew things. It's actually put buttons back on some of my coats, and I've sewed up some tears that I've had here and there, so it's really neat. On her website, she showcases her own upcycling project, including denim shorts made from oversized jeans and a faux fur Y2K-style hoodie created from older pieces. With a little vision, even outdated basics can become something that feels like you again, she said. Thread Together focuses on creativity, environmental responsibility, and confidence building, values Sun hopes to spread citywide. Another free community workshop is planned for January at the Markham Community Center. Check Thread Together for more information. That's really cool. To Michelle Sun, founder of the youth-led initiative Thread Together, taking clothing and either putting it back together or putting it together into new styles and showing the value of reuse. Cheers. Nico says, "This is great. They were barely doing life skill classes when I was in school. This stuff is so important." I agree. All right, this next one, maybe get tissues ready. It's adorable. We called it Making Wishes Come True. I'll copy and paste this into the chat. Northern Ontario girl's custom bike dream realized. This was published to CTV News on November 23rd of 2025 by Corey Nordstrom and Dan Bertrand. A 7-year-old Sault Ste. Marie girl who has spent much of her young life in hospital has had a long-held dream fulfilled, thanks to the financial support of dozens of donors. Leah Sperry, who has a range of serious medical complications, is now the proud owner of a custom-built bicycle, a moment her family once thought they might never see. The specialized bike, which features modifications to carry Leah's oxygen tank and intravenous pump, arrived after a complex 5.5-month journey. It originated from the UK, and then it had to go through a company in the States, explained Leah's mother, Heather Jessam. It took a lot of effort and a lot of people were working hard to get it here for her. A fundraiser was started in May by Leah's aunt, Laura Young, who wrote that the girl's family had dedicated everything to her care. The campaign, which highlighted Leah's extensive medical history, including over 1,139 days admitted to hospital and more than 200 surgical procedures, ultimately raised more than $29,000 from 174 donors. For Leah's family, the bicycle represents more than a gift. It is a milestone. We never thought that we'd get her to this point in her life, Jessam said. So to see her do that is such an incredible feeling for our family and our friends and everyone that supported us along the way. In a statement posted online, Young expressed the family's gratitude, posting a picture of a smiling Leah with her new bike. Her t-shirt says what her family and I feel. Incredibly heartfelt thanks to all those who helped support Leah's dream, Young wrote. The purchase of the bike used less than half of the funds that were raised. The remaining money will be used for specialized travel equipment, allowing Leah to finally take a Make-A-Wish trip for which she has been eligible for years. With winter approaching, the family is now seeking a large indoor space where Leah can safely practice steering her new bike away from people and cars. We're still learning to steer a little bit, Mom said. As Leah looks forward to riding alongside her older brother, her aunt has attempted to sum up the family's sentiment. Thank you again to everyone for your generosity and support of Leah's love of riding her own bike. For her part, Leah had 2 simple words to share. Thank you. To Leah Sperry, her family, her aunt, and everybody that donated to bring a dream to her, to make a wish come true in the form of a bicycle. Cheers. And now we're on to the last article of the night, and this one is a Saviors of All Ages article. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check it out. Teenager helps 92-year-old woman from burning property in Hunter region. This was published to ABC on Thursday, November 20th by Nikita Yeager. Carly Cook, ABC Newscastle, and House Fires. There's a couple of buys. I apologize. A Hunter Valley teenager says he was in the right place at the right time when he helped a 92-year-old woman to safety as her home was engulfed in flames. Luke Mullard, 13, was on his way home from school when he heard a bang and saw a big cloud of smoke. I jumped off the bus and ran down and saw this elderly woman, he said. Roma Wilson's house and a van parked in the driveway went up in flames on November 13th. Thick black smoke was billowing from the property in Thornton, where Mr. Mullard arrived on scene and called 000. I walked around the grass area and the side fence, and I saw Roma. I tried to get her out, and literally 30 seconds later, there was a massive explosion, he said. She kept on yelling for help, and no one could actually hear her because of the explosions, and you couldn't see her. When I found her, she yelled, "Thank you so much." The teenager assisted her from the yard to an air-conditioned car until emergency crews arrived. It was the right place, right time, moment, he said. Miss Wilson was watching TV at the back of the house when she heard a noise and thought someone was at the front door. She started to worry when she could smell smoke, and the front of the house felt hot. When she opened the door to the garage, it was oozing with smoke. She grabbed her bag and walked out the side door and was confronted with smoke and fire. By this time, I'm trying to sing out, "Can anyone help me?" And that's when Luke walked up, she said. He asked if anyone else was in the house. He said the ambulance is on its way. The fire brigade is on its way. Come with me. Miss Wilson praised the teenager for helping her. Just so wonderful. He's only 13, she said. It is believed the fire was started by a battery from an electric scooter. Mr. Mullard said he could see himself becoming a first responder in the future. I've done my research. It sucks because I want to drop out and become a first responder, but you have to be 18, he said. After helping Miss Wilson, Mr. Mullard went to his part-time job like nothing had happened. The teenager was later visited by local police. They were sort of gobsmacked. They thought I was a little bit older. The detective turned around and told Mom, "You don't know what he did, do you?" "He saved someone's life," he said. To Luke Mullard, a 13-year-old who saw a house and a car on fire, rushed in and helped a woman to safety. You are a savior of all ages. Cheers. that does it for tonight. 8 amazing articles, finishing off with 3 great wholesome notes regarding reusing materials, a bicycle to make a wish come true, and a young man that rushed into fire to save a life. Just wonderful stuff. Thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube page. Again, we're live every Sunday, and our next episode is going to be on December 7th of 2025. We encourage participation, so if you feel inclined, you can post suggestions for news brews, shoutouts, news quotes, and especially good news articles that we can present on future episodes. If you do send a bunch of articles, try to spread them out across our 4 major categories, which again are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice stuff that we like to end on. You can message us on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. Links are in the description of this video. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment on all of our content across Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, so we can get good news and joy out into the algorithms. Please, no SEO improvement advertisements. We're not interested. Really, all of y'all drive Nick's News. You continue to drive our growth, and I can't thank you all enough for that. It has been an amazing year. 2025 has been nuts. I can't wait for the year in review. At the end of December, it's going to be a blast. Every episode from here to the end of the year is going to be a blast, so thank you all again. And as always, thank you again. I love you all. You have a great night, and I will play us out.